still tuned into ET now, and let's put the spotlight on India's steel sector then. The India-UK FTA is set to come into effect on the 15th of July 2026. About 85% of India's steel exports go to the US, but they will remain outside the UK's safeguard measures. India's steel exports to the UK in 2025 stood at 620,000 tons, which is an increase of about 17% on a year-on-year basis. India's share in UK steel imports is at about 9%. What impact will this have on India's steel exporting sector? To decode that further, we are now joined by Mr. Dhruv Goel, CEO at BIGMINT. Dhruv, afternoon. Thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET now. And the India-UK FTA comes into effect next month, with 85% of Indian steel exports reportedly protected from the UK safeguard measures. How significant is this move for India's steel exporters?
Thanks a lot, Aisha. First of all, I think it's a very good news for the India as a whole that country has signed FTA with the UK government, not for steel, for other commodity as well. To answer your question, how will it impact steel in specific? So UK is not a very significant market for Indian steel mills. So India exports approximately 700,000 tons, 0.7 million ton on an annual basis to UK, which is maybe 8-9% of the total exports from India. But if I have to give you some background or context of how the imports function in UK, so UK, there is a quota system wherein every commodity is bifurcated to every country, that in per every quarter each country can export certain quantities to UK for that particular period. So India has a quota of approximately 200,000 ton or maybe 300,000 ton. So this is the background. But what has happened in last month, the UK government has mentioned that they will cut down this quota by 60%. The overall imports to UK is approximately 7 million ton. They are planning to cut these imports by approximately 60 million ton, and they would want to replace it with the domestic production. So the only benefit for the Indian mills is that the 85% of these quota, which was allotted to India, will remain secured. So it means that India will be able to export approximately 150, maybe 200,000 tons on an annual basis to UK, but it is not a very significant amount from Indian steel context.
Okay, and while the FTA provides duty-free access, the UK has also reduced steel import quotas by 60%. Will these tighter quotas limit the benefit of the final agreement for Indian steel mills?
No, so if you relatively yes, because most of the countries, for example, UK imports significant quantity from EU, and EU they have reduced quota by 60%. And similar situation with other countries, but India they will retain this quota by 85%. So as I mentioned that in that sense, relatively India will benefit. But in overall, there will not be much significant volumes that will get exported to UK, because UK as such is not a very significant, very big market for steel imports.
Okay, what about UK's domestic steel production? Because that too has declined sharply over the last few months, making it increasingly dependent on imports from countries like India. Can India capitalize on this opportunity and expand its market share in the UK in that case?
No, you are right that the domestic production is falling on a month-on-month or year-on-year basis. But as I mentioned, that it's a quota system, that anything above quota will be eligible for duty. The only benefit for Indian mills would be that in case if UK is cutting down their quotas by 60%, so this will not be applicable for Indian product. It will only be 15% down. So relatively, India will benefit, but anything above the quota will be eligible for a safeguard duty. That is as high as 50%.
And which Indian steel products are expected to benefit the most with this FTA?
So they have increased quota on the downstream products such as CR coil and galvanized. So they will get benefited, wherein they have cut down the quotas on hot rolled coil, which is a mother product. So that will probably come down. But at the same time, India also exports significant amount of slabs, which is being imported by Tata Steel UK plant, because as I'm sure most of our viewers may be aware that the UK plant, they are now transiting from blast furnace to electric arc furnace. So that is why they are importing slab and they are converting into plates, or they're converting into HR coil. So this slabs does not come under quota. So they will, till the new furnace gets installed in UK by Tata Steel, they will continue to import slabs.
Dhruv, what will the impact be of UK's carbon border adjustment? Has it already come into effect? Is it likely to come into effect soon? And what impact will this move have on the new norms that UK is going to come up with?
Yeah, so first of all, no, so to answer the first question, it has not come in place. It is still, and it is different from the EU carbon border adjustment tax. And this is, CBAM is different, the FTA is different. So it means that in case of any country wherein the carbon emissions to make that product is higher, they will be eligible for a certain carbon emission tax. And this has nothing to do with the FTA as far as our understanding is concerned.
Looking ahead, how do you see India's steel exports to the UK evolving over the next 2 to 3 years under the new FTA framework?
So overall, we feel, considering these slabs will continue to get exported. As I mentioned, that Tata Steel will import slab till their electric arc furnace gets commissioned, which is expected to get commissioned maybe in 27, 28. So we expect, volumes will be somewhere between zero point 0.5 to 1 million ton on the higher side, maybe from 2 years, 3 years down the line.
Outlook for India's steel exporting industry is concerned. Dhruv, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now. So several factors